We agreed to keep birthdays low-key this year, my mom said. Then I saw my sister's kids unwrapping piles of designer clothes and a brand new iPad. Don't cause a fuss, Dad cautioned. I just nodded, helped my son with his coat, and later that night, I turned off their mortgage autopay. By morning, my phone showed 71 missed calls and a sheriff's cruiser idling outside my house. I'm Jessica, 34, from outside of Dayton, Ohio. Divorced single mom to a 7-year-old boy named Caleb. I work in logistics. Nothing exciting, but it pays the bills and keeps a roof over our heads. My parents, Jim and Diane, still live in the same 2-story house I grew up in. And my younger sister, Brittany, lives 10 minutes away with her husband, Tyler, and their 3 kids. My relationship with them has always been complicated. They smile in public, but underneath it all, they're the kind of people who keep score and always believe they're owed something. Back in February, we were all at my mom's place for Sunday dinner when she brought it up. We all decided to keep birthdays simple this year. She said over pot roast like it was some kind of family decree. I remember nodding, thinking finally we were all on the same page. Things had been tight for me since the divorce, and I was honestly relieved. No more $200 toys or scrambling to impress anyone. Just cake, candles, maybe a pizza and a card. Everyone nodded. Brittany agreed too. Said it was a great idea. I should have known better. Caleb's birthday came in March. I kept it small just like we agreed. We baked a cake together. He got a few books, a used scooter I found on Facebook Marketplace, and a Lego set from Target. We had a picnic at the park, and my parents showed up with a grocery bag of snacks and one wrapped puzzle. Brittany brought nothing. Said she forgot it at home. Caleb didn't even notice, but I did. Then came May. The twins were turning 8. When we pulled up to Brittany's house, I thought I had the wrong address. The entire front yard was ballooned up like a carnival. A bounce house inflated in the backyard. Tables of catered food, a snow cone machine, and an ice cream truck parked at the curb. Kids ran around screaming while parents sipped from wine tumblers. Inside the living room looked like Christmas morning. A literal mountain of designer bags, boxes, and gift wrap. It looked like a Kardashian birthday party. I handed Brittany the $10 Lego set Caleb picked out for each twin and a handmade card. She said, "Thanks," barely looking at it. 10 minutes later, the twins were opening matching iPads and piles of branded clothes. Yeezy Scoochie hoodies, AirPods. Caleb sat on the floor watching in silence. He didn't say anything, but I saw him clench his little fists on his knees. I caught my dad's eye. He looked away, then came over and said under his breath, "Don't make a scene, Jess." So I didn't. I smiled, helped Caleb with his jacket, and told him we'd go get ice cream. We drove home in silence. That night after Caleb fell asleep, I sat on my couch staring at the ceiling. I kept thinking about all the times I'd helped them. Brittany used to call me when she was short on rent. My parents leaned on me constantly, especially during the pandemic. When Dad lost his job, I was the one who restructured their mortgage and linked the auto pay to my own account temporarily. They never offered to take it back over. I just let it roll. Every month, hundreds came out of my account, and I said nothing until that night. At 10:41 p.m., I logged in and disabled the auto pay. I didn't say a word. By 6:30 a.m., I had 14 missed calls from my mom, 23 from my dad, and more than 30 from Brittany. Voicemails, texts, all asking if something was wrong with the account. At 7:15, I looked out the window while pouring my coffee and saw a sheriff's cruiser idling at the end of my driveway. I stepped outside and crossed my arms. The officer got out slowly and asked if I was Jessica Barnes. I said yes. He glanced at something in his hand and told me there had been a report of property theft. Something about a vehicle. That's when I knew. I almost laughed. The car they were talking about was a 2014 Toyota Highlander, burgundy with a cracked tail light and a faint scrape down the passenger door. It had been sitting in my driveway for 3 years, the only car Caleb had ever known me to drive. Brittany liked to tell people she gave it to me after my old Camry died. But that was never the truth. When I was drowning after the divorce, daycare bills, rent, groceries, she came to me like a savior. They were thinking about selling the Highlander, she said. But if I wanted it, I could take over the payments instead. I scraped together $6,000 over the next year, wiring the money straight to her husband, Tyler. I paid the insurance, the repairs, the registration. Every time I asked about the title transfer, they brushed me off. "We'll get to it," Brittany always said. So, When the sheriff stepped out of the cruiser that morning and told me they'd filed a theft report against me, it almost didn't register. He asked if the car was here. I pointed at my driveway. He read from a notepad. Owner claims it was taken without consent. I didn't argue. I went back inside, grabbed my laptop, and opened my bank records. Payment after payment, all labeled Highlander. Screenshots of texts where Brittany wrote, "It's basically yours. We're not using it anyway." Even a voicemail from Tyler thanking me for taking it off our hands. The sheriff took his time scrolling. Then he asked if there had been a disagreement recently. I just gave a small smile. He shut the laptop, handed it back, and glanced toward the road. "Filing a false report is a crime, too. I'll be documenting this," he said. "You might want to keep your doors locked for a few days." He left without another word. I stood in the doorway for a long time, holding the laptop like it weighed 50 pounds. My phone buzzed nonstop on the counter. My mom, my dad, Brittany, Tyler. I didn't pick up. Something in me flipped over that morning. It wasn't a burst of rage, but a kind of sharp, cold calm. For years, I'd been their safety net, their bank, their babysitter, their emotional punching bag. And now, they were trying to paint me as a thief. I got a trash bag, emptied every last thing out of the Highlander, Caleb's booster seat, a hoodie, a bag of coins from the cup holder, and drove it straight to Brittany's driveway. Her blinds were shut, but I could feel her watching. I parked crooked, left the keys in a Ziploc bag on the porch, and texted her one line. "You want it so bad? Come get it." Then I went home, shut the curtains, and opened the old folders in my closet. Receipts, bank transfers, screenshots, even emails from my parents begging for help with bills. I spread them across the kitchen table and started making a list. Everything I'd given them, everything I was still covering, everything I was done with. This time, I wasn't giving them a heads up. The list started as something practical, a way to track what I'd contributed over the years so I wouldn't doubt myself later. I needed it laid out clearly, the money, the favors, the forgotten IOUs. But as I worked, it felt less like a list and more like building a case. Not for a courtroom, but for my own peace of mind. Like I was finally proving I wasn't the one losing it. By mid-morning, I had a folder open on the table, my laptop beside it. I didn't eat, just brewed coffee, sat down, and started sorting through it all. The mortgage was the first thing that stood out, glaring and recent. I'd co-signed during the pandemic when Dad's credit crashed. It stayed in my name ever since. They never bothered to refinance, never even brought it up. For 3 years, the payments had quietly drained my account. I'd shut it off the night before, and judging by their missed calls, the bank was already at their door. Then there was the storage unit. I'd forgotten about it until I spotted an old charge in my banking app. $67 a month for Mom's junk. Decades-old fabric bins, half-used paint cans, some of Brittany's kids' old stuff. They'd asked me to put it in my name when they couldn't keep up. That afternoon, I drove to the facility and told the guy at the desk I was canceling. He said the renters had 2 weeks to clear it out before it went to auction. I nodded and walked away. But then something caught me off guard. While sorting screenshots at home, I got a login alert from an old PayPal account I hadn't touched in years. At first, I thought it was a hack, but then I remembered. It was the account I'd used to help Brittany set up her Etsy shop ages ago. She didn't know how to handle shipping or payments, so I'd managed it under my name, my tax ID, even covering the startup ads. She'd said the shop fizzled out a year ago, claimed she shut it down. Except when I logged in, there it was, still active. The balance? $3,862.19. I scrolled through the transactions. Orders for custom gift boxes, baby blankets, personalized mugs, all coming in for months. She'd been running it from her house, using the setup I'd built, my identity, my tax info. I stared at the balance for a long time, then changed the password, removed her shipping address, and transferred the money to my personal account. It was legally mine, but I wasn't planning to keep it. I just wasn't going to let her act like I didn't exist anymore. By evening, I was drained but clearer-headed than I'd been in years. I took Caleb to a 24-hour diner near our place for pancakes. He told me a story about a squirrel stealing his granola bar at recess, and I laughed for real. We didn't talk about Brittany, my parents, or the cop, just pancakes, syrup, and his Halloween costume ideas. When we got home, it was dark, the porch light out, but I noticed the box immediately. No name, no label, just sitting on the top step like it was meant to be seen. Inside were the 2 Lego sets Caleb and I had picked out for Brittany's twins, except they weren't in boxes anymore. One was in pieces, the other broken in half, and smeared with something sticky. At the bottom was a melted piece of plastic, warped like it had been held over a flame. A deliberate message. I stood there while Caleb washed his hands, then quietly scooped the mess back into the box, taped it shut, and drove to Brittany's house. I didn't ring the bell or knock. I left the box on her doorstep and walked away. No note from me either. But that was the last time I'd play nice. I still had 3 names left on my list, and the next one was Mom's. I didn't expect the next wave to hit so soon. The morning after dropping off the broken Lego sets, I woke up to a group text from Mom. The one she used for family get-togethers she hadn't planned in months. The message was long, theatrical, like she was addressing a jury, not texting her daughters. She said she was heartbroken, claimed I'd humiliated the family, and accused me of blowing up over a misunderstanding. She actually called the broken Lego sets a miscommunication. My mom claimed she gave everything while we just took, ignoring that I paid their mortgage, storage, Brittany's car, and Etsy shop. She exaggerated her help with Caleb, canceling more than showing up. I found 2 subscriptions in my name, premium cable and her makeup box, and canceled them. I kept a folder of receipts, like the dishwasher I bought them, to track the truth, not for revenge. Things escalated when a debt collector, hired by my mom, claimed I owed her for a vehicle and support. I shut the door, done with their games. I made a list, return their items, cancel accounts in my name, reclaim what I paid for. I dropped off their stuff, air fryer, blender, decorations, at their door. They retaliated, cutting Caleb's old stroller in half and leaving it on my lawn. Silence followed, the kind that means they're plotting. I removed them from the family phone plan and Netflix, cutting all ties. They texted, accusing me of being childish, threatening a lawyer. I sent one reply, I have a lawyer and receipts, so move carefully. My lawyer, Dan, confirmed we could counter with harassment claims. I returned the last of their items, no explanation. Brittany showed up with checks for repayment and an apology note, admitting the party drama went too far. I shredded the checks. It was never about money, just peace. They went silent after that, and I blocked them everywhere. The air felt lighter, like a weight lifted. I replaced their dishes with ones Caleb picked, sold their couch, and donated old photos. I started seeing their patterns. Mom's guilt trips, Dad's refusal to repay loans, Brittany's one-sided favors. A letter confirmed the debt claim was dropped. Caleb and I built a fort, ate pizza, and watched a movie on our new Netflix. I stopped explaining myself to anyone. I didn't lose my family. I found myself, free from their chaos, debt, and guilt.